Welcome YouTube. Today we are going to be talking about the Camo, Reincubate Camo Studio. It is it's an app that you can put on your phone. It turns your phone into a webcam, and so you just mount your phone. You can use flash. You can make all these cool adjustments if you pay for the Pro, which we did. It was $4.99 per month, so pretty easy test drive of $5. But we're going to be using that today to actually film this episode. So, all right. So, welcome in. This is the software. So you can get this from, if you go to camo.studio, you can get the software for Windows. And this is what it looks like whenever you plug in your camera. So first thing you need to do is start the app on your phone and then plug it in. I'm using a USB-C to iPhone cord, so it's lightning to USB-C, and we have that plugged in directly to the computer. So we're not using Wi-Fi, we're not using any other connection. It is a direct connection, and once you get everything plugged in, you can see your phone status, so it's charging. You can see the name of the device. Now, the reason the name of the device is there because you can actually swap and use a different device with the same software. It doesn't care, so it doesn't hard code or do anything like that. You have modes. So you have portrait mode, which is, it's not using the iPhone portrait mode. It is using its own proprietary. So if I click portrait mode, you are going to see that it's going to tell me to disable portrait mode on my recording. And if I do that, I won't be able to record anymore. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to swap that and then come back into the video. So I'll let you know when I'm swapping that up, and we'll come back in and you can see those different features. Right now we're just kind of going over the software. So it tells you which lens you're using. So on an iPhone 12, I have ultra wide, I have wide, and I have telephoto. Now every time I change one of these settings, it'll actually give me a picture change here. So it can use any of the lenses as long as you have the camera turned around backwards. If you turn it to selfie, you're gonna have to flip your phone, obviously. So there's me. Hi, how's it going? Hey, how are you? Do I have something right in here? Maybe. Okay, it's a little too close. So right now we are using the 1X camera. We have no lights on, right? So the only light that I have on is actually from the phone itself. You can actually use your phone as a flash. If you turn that off, you can see we go into a little bit of dark mode here. And for the sake of the video, I'll leave flash on, maybe turn it down just a tad bit. And you can see your resolution. So you have full HD. You do have 1440 by 1080, which is odd. So this camera can do up to 4K, but in this studio software, you cannot do more than 1080p. It's optimized for 1080p, but you can do 1440. I tried it. I didn't really like it, so I'm not really going to show it off. I don't think it's worth it. The rest of them are just, like bicubic downsamples. So you can have watermark. You can make a custom one. You can have the camo, which, I mean, you're using the software. If you just really love the software, then you can put it on there. And then you have presets. So presets are built into the tool, or you can create your own. The one that I have right now, I should probably name it just based on the settings I have, and that way I can always come back to it. Let's see if we can go ahead and do that right now. We'll just call this stream, hit save, and then hopefully if I change, like if I change to mono, hi, how's it going? I kind of like that. Actually, it's kind of cool. If we go back to stream, it should take me back to where I was, which is perfect. Okay, now we have zoom. So this is great. I love this. So you can actually, you can rotate your camera if you really wanted to. If you had to, you can rotate it. Obviously work on widescreen, but zoom is probably one of the coolest features because it works like if you were pinching in and zooming on your phone. So I had it at roughly 122%. And then you can drag the frame very easily. Okay. Let's go over to light adjustments. So obviously exposure, now shutter speed. So shutter speed, you can have it at 1/60th, which is, pretty normal. Down to 130. And then you have ISO. You can actually control the ISO in here. This is wild. So we're set at about 1000. You can drop it down to 500. You can actually reduce the grain in the picture. You can drop it down. Obviously you need a little bit of ISO, right? So you can pop that back up. But, you know, sitting at about 750, it actually reduce a lot of the grain, right? Looking pretty cool. And then temp and temperature. So when I first turned this on, the white balance was looking pretty blue. We were using the blue screen as our light, right? So I actually like to crank that up to about 5600, 5500, 5600, which is pretty daylight balanced. And that actually looks pretty great, right? And flash level obviously is just controlling your camera's flash. Now, this might make your phone run hot, but since it's plugged in and charging, it's, you know, it's not really going to matter too much. So if you cranked it all the way up, you could actually get a nice light. So you can use the built-in light. You don't really need to add another one if you don't want to, or you can go without it, right? If you go without it, you might recommend increasing the brightness just a tad bit. You can see if you go like 1% too high, you start to get a little fade in the picture, and that's not really something I would add to the image. I keep it at a 0 or maybe a -1, but just slight adjustments make the brightness of the image quite different. So if we keep it at 0, if you need a little bit more light, you might add flashlight just a little bit, right? Hue is obviously just changing the hues, and yeah, if you really wanted to get funky one day, you can change the hues back there. It's obviously going to change the hue of the entire picture, so I leave that off. And in saturation, I thought the original picture was actually a little too saturated, so I did turn it down just a tad bit. And in gamma is going to be the difference in light, and we can see that you can make tiny little adjustments there, and that actually looks quite good. And then sharpness, without sharpness on, the picture it's kind of a little fuzzed out, right? So when you turn on sharpness, you can boost this up. It obviously becomes way too much. Clearly nobody wants to be that sharp, but you don't want to be super blurred either. So I'd say anywhere between like 0.74 or 0.54 is good. If you get up into anywhere past the 1 frame, for men it might look okay. For women, so this applies in photography too, but for women, usually you don't want to turn up sharpness way too much. It's just a difference in like physiology. It just doesn't look good on camera. For guys, they facial features and things like that can stand out a little more, so you might want a little bit more sharpness. For me, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of a potato anyway, so anyways, keep it about 0.84. So let's go ahead and compare. Let's go ahead and look at the portrait mode. So all right, so now we have you can see here we've got portrait mode in beta, and we have it activated. So I would say without a lot of lighting on, this is actually a pretty good mode, right? It's a little too good, and I'll say that, I'll caveat that it's blurring like a lot. Like even my headphones are blurred. Like look at my fingertips. My fingertips get blurred. So it is a beta mode. It is something they said they were looking at improving, and so hopefully we'll see some updates in that, because I would like a little bit of depth, maybe like the chair. So, you know, in photography, I would probably say this is at like a 1 point, like an f-stop, like 1.0. I would like to see it at like a 2.8, maybe even 3.5. So when I show you the difference in the Sony a6000 with a fixed 2.8 lens, I've got it set right around f3.5, maybe f4, and you'll be able to see a little bit of the background, but it does give a nice soft blur. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back off, and then we'll actually show a demo comparison of the Sony a6000. That is a full frame 1080p picture coming in through the Elgato Camlink and hooked straight into OBS. Okay, so here we're gonna do some testing. This is the Camo Cam, and it has let's see, I can turn the flash on, and we'll have that. This is Camo Cam, this is full screen, and this is straight from the iPhone into OBS. And then what we can do is turn that one off and turn on the other cam, and then we have to turn on some lighting. And here's the image quality coming out of the Sony a6000, and this is with a 28mm. This is a rocker lens, which is like a really old prime lens, still really good shape, but manual aperture and manual focus. And this is going straight through with USB to the Elgato Camlink, which is HDMI converter, and that plugs into the USB on the back of the computer. So anyways, difference in the quality, I'd say, you know, sharpness wise, you can have a lower ISO. The depth of field is, you know, is going to be there. So I can actually adjust that. One sec. So if we drop it down to like 2.8 for the ISO, we might not even need lighting, right? So here's our lighting, but as you can tell, I start to get fuzzy really quickly. The depth of field is just not really there, which is totally fine. However, if you have a room that you like to move around in or something like that, you might want to have it like, you know, f4, f5.6. So for me, I would actually have to adjust the, so that's sitting at f2.8, but that is to me, that's like super sharp, right? And that's where I would normally, if I was going to use something, this is the quality that I would normally have on stream. And so if we swap scenes, like if I go to my stream scene, you can see like even in a small, like in a small box, like that is, you can't really tell the difference, right? That's cam, and that's the Sony, right? So in a small box setting, you're not really going to be able to tell the difference, right? And that's totally fine. I mean, to me, like I would rather just use this with no lighting. I mean, my goal would be to not have like blinding lights on my face, right? But on a full screen, so if we go back to monitor only here, you can see on a full screen, you just don't have as much graininess, and mainly because of the sensor size. So the sensor size on an iPhone is like the size of a, you know, a dime, right? Maybe even smaller. The sensor size in the Sony a7000, I'll put it on the screen, but you can see the comparison in the size of the sensor. And the sensor is, the bigger the sensor is, the more it can collect light into the pixels, and that's what reduces grain and also creates more depth of field. And so what you're getting in an iPhone is basically it's almost like an algorithm depth of field that you're getting. So it can look really good, but as you blow it up, it'll exacerbate it quite a bit. So if we turn off Sony and we hop back over here, like the quality is still really good. Not gonna lie, like if I didn't have a Sony full like crop sensor camera here with a lens, I'd be hopping all over this. The price tag is $5 a month. I believe it's $40 a year, or you can do $80 for a lifetime license. So if you look at the cost of this camera that I have, which was at the time around $600 or $700, and then you get yourself a nice prime lens, which could be $200, $300, $400. So you're looking at $1,000. And then if you look at lighting, I spent roughly, it was like $185, maybe $200 for the light. So you're looking at, you know, $1,200 right there to get that quality. Or you can take your phone, put it in a mount, hook it up through USB, and you can run this software for $5 a month. So $60 a year, it would take you it would take you like 15-20 years to equal that amount, right? And you're going to upgrade your phone. And so, bottom line is, if you want to use your phone while you're streaming or doing videos, then this is not for you. If you feel like you need that next tier quality that a webcam is not going to give you, this is basically a webcam. So you are going to probably want to upgrade to DSLR, and you're going to have to get a Camlink. Most likely, some manufacturers are creating their own utilities, like Canon, Nikon, and some other companies, where you can plug it directly into the computer and it'll read it. So I'm not sure how much longer Camlink is actually going to be around, because a lot of the COVID work from home situation, a lot of folks needed a utility to get their DSLR to turn into a webcam. And so a lot of the manufacturers jumped on that, created software utilities, and they're free of charge to download from those sites. So if you have a camera laying around, you can try that. There's a lot of brands that are covered, a lot of different models that are covered from, the Sony side, the Canon side, Nikon, and so on and so forth. So this app right here works on Mac, it works on PC, it's for Android or Apple, and it's pretty much plug and play. If you want to try out the free version, you get 720p quality, and you cannot make any adjustments. How you can get around that is you can actually make adjustments in here. If you wanted to, you could, let me swap over to a different screen here, and you should be able to see my settings, and they're going to be mirrored, right? So I'm going to blow this up, and what you can do here is go into the camera, and you can right click on it, and you can do filters, and any filters that you want to do here, so you can color correct the camera, but you're not going to be able to do a couple of things that you could do. So you can't do the portrait mode, you can't really do a great job with some of the brightness settings that they had. I felt like it was a little bit better in the Cam Studio actually than these filters, but you can sharpen it, and you can do color correction and all of that. So that's kind of what I do with the Sony. So if I ran this at like I said, if I ran this with no lighting at f2.8, I could change around, change the gamma up just a little bit, and I could get a little bit more of the background in the light if I wanted to. You can boost contrast if you want to. It's obviously way too harsh, and that's not enough. So anywhere right around 0 is fine. Brightness, is the overall brightness of the picture, so I usually do that right around 0. I like desaturated photos just a little bit, so I turn that down, and then we won't shift any hue. And then for the sharpening, we have it at 0.05. That works out pretty well. So anyways, this is the camera that I'm going to stick with, but I gotta say, for the price, $80 lifetime, you could throw that in there, and you'd have a great camera. And all you need to buy is a cheap, phone mount holder, which they make these like snake-like accordion ones that you can, bend and do whatever you want. So mine is actually sitting right here on top of my monitor, but it's on a stand that's mounted to my desk. So pretty cheap option. That was about 12 bucks. And then I already had my phone, so that was, included. The cable will run you, anywhere from $10 to $15, depending on quality and the length of the cable. And then, the software will be about 80, so about 100 bucks, and you can have a really good camera. If you didn't have a webcam, if you didn't want to spend, like $150 or so on a webcam, you could, save a little bit of money and do this. I'd say overall the webcams today provide great quality, and they'll mount right on top of a monitor, and you'll get a lot of these same features in the software that you do. But if you wanted to add your camera as a second point of view, like let's say you do art streams, then you can have your iPhone as a camera separately, and it could be doing tabletop. So if you're building a puzzle, If you're doing like, I don't know, knitting or drawing or whatever on, physical media, you can have your camera here. You can have the iPhone camera above, almost as a document camera, and that could be your main screen. So there's a lot of usefulness of having your phone as a second camera, mainly because you already own it. And so that camera, you can actually use the software for free, use the 720p output, and have that be your main screen. So a lot of good functions and features in there already when it's free. Obviously, paying for the subscription gives you a lot more options with this. So hope this helps you decide whether you want to take your iPhone and actually use it as a webcam, or if you want to upgrade, or just keep using webcam that you already have. So hopefully this helped you make a decision on whether you want to use Camo Studio, or if you want to use a DSLR, or if you want to perhaps just keep using a webcam, whichever you want to go with. You've got some good options out there. We kind of broke down a little bit of the pricing. We broke down a little bit of the technology you need to get started, and then we talked about how to do things for free or how to do things on a budget, and then also what max you would be spending for these options. So if this helps you, go ahead and leave a subscribe on the channel so you can get more updates as we do tech videos. We also do gaming videos and all of that. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you next time.